Good morning to Kay, and good morning from the VDMA Circular Economy Pavilion. Today we have the topic, how to stop ocean plastics at source. And with me, my guest is Alfred Stern. He's the CEO of Borealis. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, this is a very hot topic. Before getting to that topic, Alfred, your motto is keep discovering. Can you explain this? Keep discovering.
Of course I can explain it. I think keep discovering is extremely important in the time that we live because we can see a lot of change ahead of us. Change is sometimes hard, but change also, of course, gives a lot of opportunities. If we are not willing to look outside and keep discovering those opportunities, we will not be able to take advantage of them. And this is really the motto about keep discovering, looking outside, working with our customers, working with partners, and making sure how we seize the great opportunities ahead of us.
Okay, and now let's get to the hot topic, circular economy, sustainability. There are many talks about this. What was the point where you said, okay, now I have to change, I have to do something in direction of sustainability? What was the point? When was that?
Yeah, it's actually not very difficult. If you look at some of the general developments on this planet, it's very clear. And I will just say it like this. If we want to come to a sustainable development on this planet, we will need more plastics, not less. Why is that? If you look up to 2050, we are looking to go from 7.5 to 10 billion people. So 2.5 billion more. When I was born in 1965, there was 3 billion people on this planet. Today, more than that, 4 billion live in cities alone. And if we just think about the challenges that this puts to us, it's enormous. It's unrealistic to think that by going back to how we did it before, we will be able to solve the big challenges on this planet. And this is why we think we will need more plastics rather than less. In addition to the general population growth, there will also be an increase in wealth. We're very lucky because you look the last decades, billions of people were able to come out of absolute poverty. But there are still a lot of countries. There's over 1 billion people that live below $2 per day. There is then an additional 3 billion that live below $8 a day. And it is, again, unrealistic to think that these people will not want to live a better life. If you have less than $2, you don't have transportation. You don't even have shoes. You sleep on the floor. You don't have access to water. You don't have access to electricity. And I think all this will require the most resource-efficient way how to bring these things to those people. And for that, plastics will play a key role. But there's a big issue, and that is plastic waste.
Yes.
So on the way, we must solve that plastic waste issue because otherwise it's not sustainable.
Okay, so the product itself, yes, but the problem is the waste. So what shall we do? What does Borealis do at this point?
Yeah, so this is why I'm here to talk about this project STOP. I really think the key to solving this challenge is making plastics more circular. Today we live in a linear economy. We take, we make, we dispose. And even in places like in Europe where we have very good waste management systems, we still dispose most of our waste. And in particular plastic waste. By making it circular, and at Borealis we are one of the top polyolefin recyclers in Europe. We have done all the analysis. We can bring down CO2 footprint by using recyclates instead of always using virgin new plastics. Yeah? So that's one thing. You can reduce the environmental impact by making it circular. But of course, by making it circular, we make plastic waste a raw material. and that means it has a value. And once it has a value, we will get the material back. And this is really the big challenge that we have. We must assign a value to plastic waste.
When, from which point on did you decide to go into the recycling business? Because that's not your original business. Your original business, virgin material. Now you're in the recycling business. When did that happen?
Our original business at Borealis is to create value-adding solutions for the challenges of society. So it's the things that I said before, bringing water to people with plastic pipes, helping to make renewable energy cost efficient by providing wire and cable insulations, by making cars lighter and use less energy for transportation. This is our core business. Our core business is not which feedstock it comes from. Okay. And the idea was really about plastic waste in the future will just be another feedstock source for us, just like we use more traditional feedstock sources today.
Okay. Nevertheless, you say, okay, waste in the ocean is not good. Let's talk about STOP now. How does this work? What's the idea behind that? Who's partnering STOP, and where does it become effective?
Thank you. Yes, Project STOP is actually a flagship initiative that we started in 2017 together with Systemic. Borealis and Systemic started this, and maybe just in the beginning I want to say the initiative here has an underlying assumption, and that is that we must stop the leakage into the environment before we start cleaning up what is there. Mm-hmm. Because if we only focus on cleanup initiatives, there will be too much new things leaking into the environment, so we will clean up all the time. So we must stop the leakage, and that is the underlying assumption. Mm-hmm. Then we went together with Systemic. We looked where this marine littering, ocean waste is coming from, and it's actually what we know is about 80% of this marine littering is coming from land. So that means people on land, they throw the waste in rivers or into landfills that are close to a sea, and then it moves into the sea. So 80%, so it's not boats or something dumping it into the sea. Okay. So 80% comes from the sea, and about half of the marine littering comes from only 5 countries in Asia. Mm-hmm. The biggest one is China. Mm-hmm. The second one is Indonesia. Then it's Philippines, Vietnam, and India. Mm-hmm. And we thought we should, in order to make a meaningful impact, we should focus on one of those countries. Mm-hmm. And then there was a good coincidence that the Indonesian government, they recognized this as a challenge that they wanted to actually tackle, and they created a national marine debris action plan. And in this action plan, they wanted to reduce ocean plastic from Indonesia by 70%. So ideal conditions where we could work together rather than to just have a feel-good project somewhere, to make a much more meaningful project and bring it on a level where we could more work on a systemic level. That was the key idea. And what we did then is we looked at some of the root causes. How does this work? What's creating the problem? We also looked at what could be a meaningful city that we could pick as a pilot for this, and we then first picked one city, right? But let me maybe say first what we had established then as the key objectives for Project STOP, right? Yes. What we said is we want to achieve 3 things. Mm-hmm. We want to stop the leakage into the environment. This is what I said in the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. Leakage of waste into the environment. Secondly, we said we want to drive circularity. And the key idea behind driving circularity was that by by making a circular economy out of this, we can create revenue streams for the waste management system. And it becomes at least a low cost, but potentially a self-financing waste management system. And number 3, we wanted to bring community benefits. The reality of the fact is that in those communities where these problems happen, there is simply no waste management system. And it's not just about plastic waste, but it's about waste in general. Yes. So in the city Muncha that we picked, we now know after 2 years that there's about 12% of the waste that we are collecting now is plastic waste. 70% is organic waste. And then the rest is other stuff. And for all this stuff, there was no other way for the people there to burn it, or to litter it into the environment, very often into rivers that then transport the garbage away. But of course, it ends up in the marine. So these were the big 3 objectives: zero leakage, driving circularity, making improvements for the community. And these community benefits were mainly around, also if organic waste is in the river, and it's not a good thing, right? And also create some employment for the people. We have started this as Borealis and Systemic in 2017, as I said. And then since then, very early on, the Norwegian Embassy joined us as a strategic partner. Norwegian Embassy in Indonesia, they were a very big sponsor to this. And then on the way, Nova Chemicals, our sister company in Canada, they joined us. Borouge, our joint venture in the Middle East, they also joined us as a strategic partner. And then earlier this year, Nestle joined the project. And quite recently, the Alliance to End Plastic Waste also joined the project, because what they wanted is, they said, okay, we have funding, but we are looking for real on-the-ground projects, how we can advance these kind of things. This is what we did. We then also have the Schwarz Group here from Germany as a supporting partner, Sustainable Waste in Indonesia, and Veolia, a waste management company that is there. So City 1, we started in Muncha. 2 years later, we have brought waste management there to 30,000 residents. 30,000 residents. We have employed 60 people. We have established a sorting center. And from that sorting center, they have income streams now from the valorization of the organic waste. Basically, they're growing maggots on the organic waste and sell it to the fishing industry. And then we have first income streams from plastic recyclates coming out of that. And we are running there. You see here some pictures with the people working in the sorting center, but you also see some pictures there, behavior change campaigns, right? It needs education, explaining to people what this garbage can is good for now, how do you sort the waste, how do you do it.
And do they accept this? Is this something they want and they support, understand?
I think we actually had a fantastic reception of this kind of stuff. The people, we also did then some cleanup actions on the beach, for example. And this is a bit of a sad story, quite honestly, because we cleaned up some 5,000 square meters of beach. And I think it was some 150 tons of waste that we took away. So it's really, quite a bit of stuff. And it turns out some of the kids were absolutely amazed what was underneath all this stuff, and that you could actually play soccer on what was left after everything was cleaned up. And I think that's a nice example, because it shows you, right? We sort of live in a world that we are used to. And if that's what it looked like when you came to this world, you think that's what it's supposed to look like. And I think this creates a lot of thinking and changing. Now that we got new partners, we are now extending it to another city in Bali. Yeah, so we are going from Java to Bali, Cembrana, where we are doing a city together with the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. And we are now, just before I think we have selected a city number 3, and we will announce that shortly.
In Indonesia?
In Indonesia also.
Okay.
So you see a couple of numbers here, 14 million funding at this moment, and with these 3 cities, we will be able to reach 450,000 people and collect 80,000 tons of waste every year. I think that's quite an achievement that we want to do. But more important than this, we are not just doing this in the city, we are working very closely with the community and the Indonesian government to try and understand how would we make that a scalable model across Indonesia.
Okay.
And this is where really the big change happens. I really think, and this is back to your question, keep discovering. I think you need to stick your neck out. You need to try those things. It's no good to, we know, right? You go to the city, I don't need any statistics. I know I can see it, right? We need to do something, and then it's better to start working on it and get going and show that change is possible. Because I think a lot of people will get inspired by this and copy it to other places. I just want to finish here building on this comment, because I think change is possible. This project STOP cannot solve this problem. It can only be an inspiration for the world, for other people, to see that we can actually make it happen. And money, as always, will play a key role. This is why I am so convinced that the circular concept is the right concept, because the marine littering problem we don't have in Europe. Yeah, if we reduce some plastic consumption in Europe, it will not fix the marine littering problem. The marine littering problem is happening in countries that have much less GDP per capita than we have, and that don't have waste management systems. And we need to find ways how to bring waste management systems in a cost-effective way to those communities in order to accelerate it enough to get it there.
Before getting to the movie, you talked about scalability of that project. You're doing this in Indonesia, and you've reached out quite fantastic to really a big number of people. Is it possible to transfer this to other countries? Is this part of the concept? Can people apply for a project and approach you and say, listen, this is great, help us establishing the same system? How does this work?
So this is an open system. We just started it together with Systemic, right? And as you can see, we've had a lot of partners come in. It's open for partners. Just call us. We are happy to bring people in. I'm most interested in people.
That's for partners, which is good, but the other side, the people being somewhere in Indonesia, somewhere in India, and so can they approach you and can say, listen, here we've got a massive problem, help us?
Yes, I actually had a few discussions here at the K-Show about this, people coming in, and let me put it to you this way, keep watching Borealis, keep watching Project STOP. You'll see shortly how we will go to some other countries and how we will try and spread this also broader than just Indonesia. Maybe in closing, I want to say this project is part of our Everminds platform. We started the Everminds platform because we think making plastic circular is key to drive forward a sustainable future for this planet and for plastics. But we're also convinced it will be a more complicated world than the one that we're in today. It will need more partnerships. It will also need partnerships outside of our direct supply chains. It will need bringing in communities. Yeah? It will need bringing in waste management companies, these kind of things. Much broader partnerships in order to solve that problem. And this is what we created, the Everminds platform, to drive circularity in plastics forward together with other people.
Good.
And if we can...
Now let's have a look at the film, please. Thank you very much for watching. This was Borealis, How to Stop Ocean Plastics at Source, and an interview with Alfred Stern, CEO Borealis. Thank you and see you tomorrow. Ciao.